Well, you know why you're here. Um, and I know what you want to know. 50 Shades of Grey opened this weekend. And what you really want to know is it as hot and steamy as has been projected? And that really depends on your experience with current media. It's not all that great as far as, depending on what you've been exposed to recently, it's really not all that great. We live in an age right now where four-letter words and nudity are making their way onto basic cable, and hardcore pornography is available on the internet 24/7, and matching those against this is kind of tame. This is really small stuff. And it really is a commentary from me. The movie's not very good, I should go ahead and tell you. It really is, for me, a commentary on the fact that television is willing to push the envelope, that the movies retreat from that. And this movie is a prime example of that. Let's get the story out of the way first. As you know, this is based on the book by E.L. James, which everybody in the world seems to have read. I read it 2 years ago. I didn't like it. I thought the same about the book that I thought about the movie. It's pretty tame. It's just, compared with what else is out there and what else you can get your hands on right now, it's very light. The story is basically just the old claiming of the virgin bit. A college student procures an interview with a billionaire, a good-looking billionaire, and they like each other. He tracks her down, asks her out, and as she gets to know him, begins to realize that he's into S&M. So he makes a deal with her that she will sign a contract with him, that she will be his submissive. And it turns out also that he does this all the time with various women. He keeps a woman around for a long time, and then, under contract, and does all of this stuff. And it's kind of, like I said, it's an old story. What really surprised me is that the book is actually steamier than the, as light as it is, the book is actually steamier than the movie. And they begin to have a sexual relationship. And there's all this talk back and forth about whether or not she's going to sign a contract to be his submissive and all of this. And in the movie, it's a major point. In the book, it's kind of a throwaway. This is very light stuff, and this leads to what you really want to know. Are the sex scenes between this girl, the girl's name is Anastasia, and the guy's name is Christian, are the sex scenes between the two of them hot and spicy? And like I said, it depends on what you've been exposed to. And this has the tone in the sex scenes of a very light Playboy video. There's a lot of music, a lot of soft light, a lot of nudity on her part. You barely see any nudity on his part. And, excuse me. To be honest, it doesn't really have the intention of pushing the envelope, of really becoming adventurous. And it sort of luxuriates what is, to be honest with you, kind of a sad story. This is a very damaged man. There's something going on. There's a reason that he does this. And one of the reasons that he does this the reasons that he does this are spelled out in the book, not in the movie. In the movie, we get hints. We're told very, very little, which should be one of the bullet points of the movie, and it's just kind of glossed over. Which tells me that the movie really has no interest in these two people or him. It just wants to get to the good parts. And that is a fatal flaw, because it kills the motivation. Now, maybe they're saving the motivation for the second one. I don't know. But as far as this one, it came up a little short. As far as their sexual relationship, it's made to be titillating. It's not made to be real in any way. Let me put it this way. I saw a movie last year called Nymphomaniac, which was a small independent film, which was about the life of a sex addict. And it was an extremely sad story of a person who was essentially destroying themselves in this venture. The sex in that movie was seen in the cold light of day, in a realistic setting, and it was spontaneous. There you got the feeling that it was happening. Here you get the feeling that it's been constructed, that it's been heavily edited, that its purpose is less on the characters and more on the audience, which makes the sex scenes in the movie feel detached. They feel more like an intermission. They feel more like just an obligation than a natural progression of the story. And to me, they took me out of the movie, because I felt like I was just watching something else. I didn't feel like I was really watching these two people connecting. And like I said, when you peel back all the gloss and pretty away from this movie, what you're left with is a story that is very, very sad. The story of a man who feels that he has to do this to dominate a woman. And the story of a woman who is willing to let him do this. Which is very strange, which is a strange occurrence, because in the book, she's far less willing to go through this than she is in the movie. In the movie, she's ready to go whole hog with it. He seems almost afraid of her in the movie. In the book, he didn't. But in the movie, he seems almost afraid of her. And that sends the story off balance for me. And I was really kind of distracted by it. The bullet point of the movie, the trajectory of the movie, are those sex scenes. Because if you take those away, there's not much left. There's not much to this movie beyond those. Because the performances are not really strong enough to carry this movie. There's two primary performances in this movie. One is by Dakota Johnson, who in real life is the daughter of Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith. She plays Anastasia. And she does a good job. She gives a very natural, very confident performance. I would like to see her in a better movie. I hope to. After this, because I know this thing will inevitably be a success, but I'm looking forward to seeing her in something more substantial. The other performance is the movie's other fatal flaw, and that is the performance by Jamie Dornan. He plays Christian Grey. This is the key role in the movie. He plays Christian Grey like a block of wood. He has no charisma, no personality. I didn't buy him as the lead. I didn't buy him as a businessman. Christian Grey owns his own business, and I didn't buy him as a businessman. He's very flat. All of his dialogue is delivered just like this, at a very very flat monotone. If you think that this is irritating, try to imagine 2 hours of this. This is exactly how he talks for the entire movie. See, it's irritating. He's so young. He's 25 years old, but he looks like he's 19. And if you look at him, you would think that he was the lead, the movie's leading man's little brother. He just is, and watching him as a dominant, he looks like he's afraid of the girl. This is a very, very bad performance, and I think, in a lot of ways, he sinks the movie. It's a terrible, terrible performance. My battery's about to run out, so join me over on part 2.